It's kind of cute. It's fun. It's folksy. It's a Civil War reenactment. They're all nuts. They're all bored.
What's wild is how many people were infiltrated.
Yes.
Like how many of those groups were infiltrated by intelligence
The FBI.
agencies? Yeah.
Yeah, because they're bored.
Well, that's the Whitmer case.
Yeah. The FBI wants to come in, and how many of her kidnappers?
12 out of 14.
We're FBI
and
agents.
The two guys that weren't are doing big time.
Yeah.
They're doing long stretches.
Well, this is
and
what,
one of them was
yeah.
talking about it. And one of the things that he was talking about was like, I never planned on doing anything. They coerced me into all of this. And they planned everything. And you know,
this is what they
was
do.
not my idea.
The Boston,
it was all fantasy. The Boston bomber.
Boston bombers, it was weird too.
There's something weird about that.
The FBI goes, yeah, we don't know who they are. And then Russian intelligence goes, we told you who they were. Samantha Fuller, whose father, Graham Fuller, was a huge CIA guy. He was the architect of their Mideast policy. She married this guy, Rusli Tsarnaev. His nephews are the guys who did the bombing. That's odd that a CIA family, this woman, married Rusli Tsarnaev, his nephews, who were traveling back and forth to Dagestan, and the FBI had no idea who they were. Chuck Grassley, who's a senator, writes a letter to the FBI going, why were you doing surveillance the night that Sean Collier, the MIT police officer, was killed in the neighborhood of the Tsarnaevs? Did you know about them? Had you any relationship with them? It's odd. And then the FBI wrote back, we were in and around MIT, because that was the MIT police officer who was killed the day after or the night of the bombing, where they supposedly killed, the police officer and then were trying to get away. And they robbed a 7-Eleven. They did all this stuff. Chuck Grassley's like, why were you guys in that area? And they were like, we were around MIT for a separate reason. The FBI was there for a separate reason. This is also a thing where they killed one of the friends. Like they had a routine interview at the guy's house. They didn't make him come into an FBI office. And one of their friends, this guy ended up dead. 4 FBI agents in the room interviewing this guy. Supposedly he went to go grab something and killed him, and then he ended up shot dead. So
really?
Yeah, the FBI is like, it's weird. The FBI, the entrapment and the stuff they get into is weird. It's odd.
The entrapment thing is strange.
It's strange.
We've talked before about the story about the 19-year-old guy, I think it was in Dallas, who they talked him into using a bomb and activating this bomb. It was like some fundamentalist.
Right.
They talked him into doing this, but it was a fake bomb they gave him. And then when he went to activate this fake bomb, then they swooped in and took him.
Yeah.
Like they gave him the bomb. They told him to do it. And he was young and gullible and...
It's crazy what they do. This is kind of what they do. This is just the way they operate, and they don't want the way they operate to become public. So all of these things that happen.
But you got to think that also by doing that, you can infiltrate legitimately dangerous organizations, and you can stop legitimately dangerous things from happening.
I think that's some of what they do.
That's probably the origins.
Some of it, sure.
The origins of it.
Some of it is, I think, good. I think the problem you run into with that is it's so murky.
Yeah.
And it's such a fine line when you're dealing with mentally unhealthy people. And when you compromise somebody or you recruit somebody as an informant, it's weighing on them. Yeah. They're crazy. They don't know what's going on. They're anxious. They're like, I think they promised this guy. Supposedly they might have, this guy, Tamerlan Tsarnaev or whatever, like might have been promised citizenship, or they dangle carrots with people. They go, we'll make you say, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll give you money, we'll do that. And sometimes
what's the big conspiracy theory about the Boston bombings?
That the FBI, again, these are just guys that they were, probably trying to set up, and then the fucking bomb went off. Meaning that, again, it was just a similar thing where it's like the FBI had either recruited them or were in the process of trying to recruit them. And then, so if you come clean with that, the American public goes, what the fuck are you doing?
Right, but what the conspiracy theory, is it that the FBI...
is covering up that they had prior relationships with the Tsarnaevs, that they knew them, that there was any pre-existing relationship with them at all.
But there's not that they instigated this.
Well, what is instigated, right? That's a big question, right? Did they give them the bomb? We don't know, right? But but there are instances where they do give people stuff, right? Or they do allow people to purchase weapons, or they do, like, did they instigate the Whitmer kidnapping? Supposedly, they probably did. They're putting this idea.
The fact that there's 12
guys
out of 14 guys.
So when you talk about the Tsarnaevs, it is just weird that, you know, number one, there's not a lot known about the trial. That they put special administrative measures on the trial, which means that like nobody can really speak out about what happened. It's all very tightly controlled, and they said it's national security. But then you're like, but you told us they weren't related to any terrorist thing. So why, if they're not related to any overseas terrorist cell and they acted alone, what the hell is national security? So again, you're just supposed to go like, hey, they got him. They got him. They got him. You know?
Well, what's the alternative?
They treated Meghan Markle horribly. Like that's, people like my aunt, they go, stop with that. Go to Markle now. Markle's racist to Meghan Markle. It's like, it's just an endless circus of nonsense. You're never supposed to get in the weeds with anything. And if you do, you're meant to look insane. Because some of the people in the weeds are insane. Some of the people that will have the conversation I'm having right now are crazy.
Most.
So that becomes a problem. Your allies become people who are fucking nuts, and they're like, Chrissy Teigen has a tunnel under the and you go, okay, she doesn't. She does. She's selling fucking cookware. So you know, you start looking into things. Dude, when you start looking into serial killers, it's crazy. Like when you start looking at Son of Sam and David Burke and this idea that there might have been more people doing that shit. Like there's been books written about the fact that David Berkowitz, like, maybe didn't do all of those murders, but he was the guy that went down.
Did you send me the article about they never caught the guy who built the bomb?
I send you a lot of that stuff.
But didn't you send me it like yesterday?
I sent an article today where it was a guy from the Boston Marathon bombing where he had gotten in some altercation with his parents and they ran in his house in, I don't know, Ipswich, which is the clam town, or you know all these places. Yeah. And they found like a pressure cooker bomb, and it was like the type of bomb that would have been used in the marathon. And they also proved that he knew Tamerlan Tsarnaev, like they had a, connection. So it was like, they were like, is this the guy that built the bomb? So who knows? Michelle McPhee, who's a journalist in Boston, wrote the book, I think it was called Maximum Harm, about the Boston Marathon. She did a lot of great work on it, and she wrote a book basically kind of ripping the official story apart, going like, the feds are clearly covering up something here. And, it's interesting. And she's a fun journalist. I think she punched a cop or something. She did. She got a DUI and punched a cop. But something good. Boston. Good, Something good. I trust people. I trust you if you've done something like that.
Really? Why?
Yeah, if you've gotten drunk and like punched a cop, it's like, oh, okay. I get it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm more inclined to trust you in that scenario, But that's the thing. It's like you just got to enjoy life because it is, you're never gonna figure it out. You're never gonna figure it out. You'll never figure it out. You'll never know. You'll never know what really went down.
No. And that's part of the purpose.
That's part of the purpose because there's so much noise and there's so much craziness. And people get mad at me and they're like, no, you're cynical and you tell people not to care. It's like, I'm not telling people not to care. I'm just telling people like just a certain amount of time to caring. It's like a diet. Don't consume